Hello. Welcome back to another episode from
Hello,
BlackPink Leader.
BlackPink leader. What happened to you, knee? You got
I will,
choked.
I will freeze. I will freeze for a few seconds. I'm like, oops, why Pauline is mute? Her mic is mute, and I was like, oh no, did she mute? Like you just
Oh,
jam for 2 seconds of the.
oh, I see, I
Yeah.
see. Okay, so
And I
this is
think
the
this is match with topic today. Remote work.
correct.
This happens sometimes when you work from home, and your mic
Yeah,
is freeze or like you speak but you forgot to unmute, and then you have to speak again, and then you forgot what you're talking. So
yeah.
so
So
Pauline, let's go to that. Like, can I ask you how was your life when remote work was start, and any experience you have as a leader in that time, that a fun story to share with our audience.
uh, hmm I would say I think we will have to rewind back to COVID days.
Oh
I
yes.
that's the time where the remote work actually start, right? And we have to see really how to manage that. I mean, in the past, do I have this thing called teleworking?
Mm.
Actually, in year 2000, early 2007 and 8, when I was working in the Singapore Civil Service, we actually start to have this thing called teleworking. So that time was the start of this thing called the remote work, where people do work at home. But it wasn't so apparent, and it was actually given a lot at that point of time because I work in the government sector, and
Mm.
our Singapore government want to support a lot of mothers, parents to be able to work, especially for mothers. So we don't need to say that, oh, we have to take leave, and then after that we can't work. So at that point of time also there was this thing where it's laptop, and we can bring laptops back as long as it's not sensitive stuff. Some of the jobs in the public sector can actually be worked from home. So this is where I do have colleagues in the past that does like a half time working from home, and it actually works in terms of the remote. And they will kind of like come in the office in the morning, and then afternoon go and fetch their kids and work from home in the afternoon. So it's like a half. At the point of time, there wasn't actually like Zoom or all the StreamYard like today is so sophisticated, or WhatsApp,
Yes.
in terms of all this technology. So I think the one that really pushed forward in terms of fully remote and it's proven to work was during the COVID times. But of course, at that point of time, there was a lot of trial and error. And I must say, thankfully for COVID, I really, at that point of time, enjoy that 1 over years to 2 years of a remote working, frankly speaking. Right? Because that was the time where the air is most fresh. When I go out, there's not much of a transport. The jam. And when in the past, we have to like get out of the house at about 8 plus 10, like now, and it's like jam all over the place. The air wasn't that fresh, and you hear the horns and so on. And when we want to move from point A to point B, it wasn't as fast as in the past. So
Yeah.
this remote working in the past allows us to actually be faster. I think that is where the discipline comes along to make us, frankly speaking, at the point of time in my organization, our revenue and profit was actually the best
Yeah.
during the time when it was 100% in remote. Yeah, so this is where I embrace it really 100%, that people do not need to really be physically together. Although I still like to have the human touch of people coming together. Not that I'm just wanting to be non-touching and we just see in terms of remote. But I would say in terms of remote, what I love is it really have the efficiency, and we can do and achieve a lot of things in that short period of time. Plus, especially right now, we are talking about two mothers who need to take care of so many things. Having to be able to work remotely really helps us to take care of our family, our work locally, as well as expanding overseas as well. But of course, nothing is perfect, I must say. Later on, we will share more about some of the key things to make it work. What are the critical success factors, as well as the challenges, the issues that we might face, and how to overcome them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, maybe I want to add on. How do you find remote working? I know you do a lot of.
Yeah, was I think is a day that I will explore a lot. That's a time when I create my team from overseas as well, right? Because I've been working in Singapore, and in a COVID time, for the first time I form, even I hire new people in COVID. I train team in COVID, and it was surprising me that you have so much creativity when COVID happened. So we was, for example, we used to in offline we will meet up and drink coffee, and then we team
Mm,
meeting, right? And I will create like a Zoom call lunch together, and then my team go in the Zoom and we eat and we chit chat, and then we do let's go karaoke section, and then we make the song in the share screen, and then we start singing together, or like we do a movie night together as a team. And I realize that it's actually when you go to emergency, humans somehow so creative, because you bought at home. And it's surprising me, my team born more in the COVID. And it's surprising me that I think because
mm,
I work with a bunch of young people. So I don't know with other people who they complain about the remote work. But for me, COVID time, the remote work was an amazing experience for me. Especially I was very like young in terms of system and all this machine thing, but I have a bunch of young people who's so good with this, and I like, hey, can you help me create a Zoom? And then they would teach me about. Do you know that we can do the share screen and we can drawing and we can write about this, and then the experience of leading team, it get more fun. We don't have formal kind of conversation one to one. We don't have a bunch of spreadsheet to read, and we start explore about how to use system to share with each other at the same time. You can like a streamer, you
uh,
talking at the same time you doing you playing game, right? So this is the
yes.
same thing for remote work for me. So that's some experience that I
Mm,
will enjoy a lot,
mm,
because we was able to link all the department together. We have certain Zoom meeting that not meeting but actually is like a fun dating to warm up the energy of the team, and somehow the result of that is our productivity is increasing a lot. So
mm,
I would say I think everybody will have a different experience in the remote work world. I think my
mm,
company maybe is sell make and sell own, so it's my own culture and my own value, and that's the fun thing I add in my business, and it somehow is work. And I love it. I love it that as a leader, how do you creative in the remote world is something that I will highly encouraging young people, or highly encouraging leader. Don't have to be boring. Don't have to be boring in this case. Yeah.
but I think
So
that highly encouraging is not for the young people. The highly,
oh really? Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I think the young
Maybe
people,
that's come with that
huh?
has come with the first question, right? So what's the challenge in the managed remote team? I think this is exactly what Pauline want to lead us to.
So it's like the young, they will be very happy. Like my daughter is now working in I mean, she's 24 years old and she has been working for a few years. She has always been in tech companies like ByteDance, like these ByteDance has this TikTok is under them,
Mm,
and as well as Wise, which is that transfer Wise, that card, and now she's in another company that's actually also another tech company, but I'm not going to say which company it is. But this
mm.
company does not allow for remote working. Every day must go to office. This is
Oh,
where she gets a little bit well, that is kind of like the complaint that she has. Although she likes her job, although she learns quite a bit over there, but she always was thinking, why is it that it's a must for everybody to be in there, right? Because when she was being trained also during the time in COVID, where when she was in her university days, school term was all online, and they do well. The her work, whether it's in ByteDance or in Wise, quite a number of times is all online and they all do well. So this particular tech company, e-commerce company, she doesn't understand why everybody has to meet up, right? So she was quite thinking that the boss, who's like 40 plus, the director, 40 plus years old, insists everybody to come back. And I know why. I mean, I'm in the age group where everybody goes to the office, right? And this is where I think I'm born in a really good era where it's from the analog time to the digital time to the AI time. So things happen so fast during these 3 decades of me growing up, plus working, etc., being a leader, and so on. So the challenges I think a lot of people start to feel is the sense of lost, right? That a lot of leaders, when they can't see them, start to wonder: Are they working or not? Are they putting in their best? Is it a case of when I don't see them, when they don't come into the office, they are less efficient, they are
I see.
less effective? Yeah. But I must say one thing: it is a yes and a no. Okay. What do I mean by it's a yes and a no is this. Now, we are human beings. I want to ask all the leaders. You mean, are we all always 100% so productive? Frankly speaking, I'm not. I will tell you, in the office, I'm also not. All right. I was an employee before. Okay. I do stare at the screen. There are times I don't feel like working. I don't feel like working. I don't feel like working. You put me in an environment in the cubicle, I will just hide in the cubicle. Even if it's open, right? I will just stare at the screen. And I've seen my admin staff stare at the screen for hours. I was standing at the back and then I'm like, why are you staring it for like minutes, half an hour, and you're still not doing anything? And what they think is, oh, I'm thinking. I'm like, okay. So this is where you have to know, if we want to do a remote, it is not about where they are. It is about then what what is the system that has been in place for you to be able to let them know that even when I'm remotely there, I still take personal responsibility to make sure that I deliver the targets, the deliverables that I'm supposed to deliver, which means the deliverables have to be very, very clear. Okay. And also, it does not mean when we are remote working, we don't meet up with them. Okay. So, what are the ways that we can still meet up with them? First of all, I would say if we want to do this, our deliverables, as I mentioned, first of all, has to be very clear. Very clear in the sense that what is the long term, like 1 year goals that we have for them, the midterm goal, and the daily goals. What are the deliverables in that 1 day, 1 month, and things like that, or in terms of a few hours? They need to know. Okay. Now, next thing is this: need to have a culture that the team members come back to us, not we go to them. Okay. So the leaders must be very clear that we cultivate a culture that they have to come to us. So in the past, let me share my experience. How I do manage my remote team is every day, my finance team quite set one. At 7 a.m., my finance team has to tell me the cash flow for the day. As early as 7, 8 a.m., I'm like, what? Yeah. Okay, why? Because at 7, 8 a.m., when they come in with the cash flow for the day, how much we generated the day before, what is the cash flow right now? Like, for example, today is the 15th, let's say, of the month, half the month. So what kind of cash flow are we looking at? Because we have a target to hit a month goal. So when it's the 10th day, when it's the 15th day, where are we? Where's our shortfall? So that 10 o'clock every day, we have a huddle. So every day, my team, they will know what kind of cash flow that we have right now. What is the sales that we have actually met? Everybody is in that huddle, regardless whether you're operational staff, you are sales and marketing, you are in tech or whatever not. Okay, so everybody knows the picture, knows the company very well because everybody has a stake in it. Okay, so after 10 o'clock, 10:30, everybody will go and do whatever that they need to do. So this is where we will settle whatever that we need to settle. For example, if we know our cash flow has a shortfall, right? Okay, so we need to think of ideas what we need to do. Quickly on that day, we say, all right, this timing, shall we have a huddle? Shall we think of what we need to do? then the rest of the team members will know how to support and what to support. So this is where that huddle comes in really very handy. And then in the individual days, the leaders will just go to the individual teams, and during that period of time, they will do whatever they need to do. So normally in the afternoon is where they will have lesser meetings, because afternoon is the time where they are supposed to do their job, right? So morning we settle, we get the things done. Afternoon they can do it, and then the next day morning we come back again, we have the harder where is it right now, and we go back again. So I think this is where everybody would know what everyone's doing. So even if we're not so-called physically there, we are actually mentally, emotionally, spiritually with one another. Yeah. So that's the part that how I manage my team in the past. So how about
Yeah.
Ni? How do you manage your team? You have such a big team. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was very clear from day one that I cannot take care of everybody.
Mm,
So I always focus on who the nearer person that I can take care, which is the top 10, and that's it. I
mm,
never exit more than that number. But I make sure the 10% who close to me
mm,
uh, were very, very good as a leadership at the department that they are leading, right? And I
mm,
take care of them emotionally, mentally, and give them guidance, because this is how I believe if you as a good leader, you take care of the person next to you, they
mm.
will transfer that energy to the next person and guide the next leader to be like, it's basically just a role model. Okay,
Yeah.
so I I found myself in the situation of I'm not cross certain system that I being built, right? I mean the system of the dynamic of, if I'm going to take care of you, then your job is take care of next person. Next person cannot reach to me
Mm,
and complain or whatsoever. You guys have to
yeah.
deal with each other as human being. If you cannot work well, then your job is to solve the problem together. And it's working for me because from a small little team, my team now is big because of this. So far, it's been great system that I create in my business,
Mm,
and I don't mind to tell people that in public because you guys can use that. It will work for you. So uh and the part of emotional part and physical and well-being, I agree with you, and that's why I say we create a lot of small date team date,
mm.
like, and my business right now is no longer in the phase of startup, right? And startup, you do everything. You
Yes.
have to do everything with the team. You have to join everything with the team. The team need to
Yep.
feel your presence. They need to feel your value. They need to know the culture. And because of that culture and value, bring them to the next group of people that they're leading and they're training. Yes, somehow people coming, they find like, oh, this company is so funny. Like, do you have what, a date night with each other, the date lunch, the date breakfast? What is it about? But that's some culture that we create to reduce the energy of, oh, we're so far and we work from home, and we don't have a connection together. I remember the nearer bonding that my company have in Vietnam. It was amazing. 3-day trip. They all go together, go to the beach, go to the mountain. And some of them meet each other for the first time because they've been work from home for so long.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And the success of that meeting is mind blow for me. And then I realized, oh, actually, Zoom is work. It build a rap for them. But when they meet each other, yeah, the shyness starting a little bit, like, oh, I meet you in the Zoom for so long. Finally, I meet you in person. But that's experience with each other for many months in the Zoom or few years in the Zoom. If now it transfer to real life, it cut it short a little bit if you know how to gel in this part well, right? Because they're young and they vary a lot of energy because they're young. They have a lot of energy, the stamina is there, they have a lot of time and
Mm,
energy. So when they
mm,
together at the environment that the team build, the culture already there, the value is already there. They just boom, it's like firework work. They
mm,
enjoy, they have fun, they party. So that's what how I manage my team. I make it work is work, but when you guys having fun, you should have human connection. And I think I'm glad that I have it has a sense of know when to give them what. I think that's
mm,
what my strength in the leadership, and the challenge I have to manage remote team. I would say that like you say, like people don't perform when,
Yeah.
and you don't know, right? So
Yes.
again, we have to manage that based on AI, and we also have to trust the manager at that department, and we have to train them how to use AI and use machine to check the person, right? And if
Mm.
the person no longer willing to work, then you should let them go. So
Yeah.
that's been how I manage the team. We did not like micromanage, or we did not come to the house, book the CCTV.
Mm.
We work, and I believe work have to be based on trust.
Yes.
It's, you have to have trust there. The person have to enjoy. If they not enjoy working and we don't trust, it's hard, it's tough.
Yeah.
And maybe because I have a young team where they are able to learn new culture and they accepted that.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the group that I have difficult to manage, it should be the above my age. I think that's the harder for me actually. I'm sorry, guy, but I have to speak the truth.
Oh, this is something. That's why I just now I was saying, the young, not an issue. It is the probably my generation or even
Yeah,
older. Not that there's a stereotyping, but
yeah,
probably if you are probably above 40, maybe you can
yeah.
ask yourself this question: when people don't come together, do you have a sense of a doubt, you know, or insecurity that are my team members working or not? Are they
Yeah,
really working? Uh, are they putting in their best effort? Probably when they are with me, when we are all physically together, we can even be better. Well,
mm,
I think I'm not sure whether anyone have done this study. When we are physically together, do we really perform better because we can see one another? But I
yeah,
must say, human beings still need to come together. Even though we say that we do remote working and we do believe in remote working like me, it's not
yeah.
that we 100% do remote working until we never see one another before. I think that's
No, no, no. We still have
quite,
to meet each other. Yes.
yeah, we still have to meet one another. That's why NhiLe is saying, okay, we still have that 3 days bonding coming together. Just like today, uh,
Yeah,
before this session, the past 2 days, I was actually in Bintan facilitating a retreat for near to
yeah.
about 40 of our team members. Okay,
So
so
nice.
it is still important because we are so busy running around. We have our team members in Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia coming together, and that's where we have to really work together and do. I facilitated some team bonding activities for them to get to know one another, and also when they come together, it just boosts the energy. And during the debrief, some of them were actually quite demoralized over the past few months. Sometimes we do sales, right? And then the sales didn't get better. And of course, people get demoralized, right?
Yeah,
Emotional. That's where they come to this platform after the retreat. They were like, yeah, I start to realize I'm not the only one feeling, because we were working remotely, a little bit remotely. So I'm not the only one that feel like this. It feels so good that the issues that I face, others are facing as well. And we
yeah,
come together to support one another. Yeah, so it is the same thing. I always find that my problem, I am not the only one facing it. And my
yeah,
problem is never a new problem. We keep
yes,
thinking that our problem was, you don't understand. I'm the only one having this issue. No, I'm sorry. Your issue everyone's facing. Okay. You're not the
yeah.
only one. That's quite
Someone before you already experienced that. You just have to go and find that person, and
correct.
then ask them the advice and experience. Like even before this recording, I was chat with Pauline because I need some support because I was face a new problem, and
Mm,
and thanks to her, that's what leader is. We reach
mm,
out to each other when we need help,
yes,
because something that Pauline may face that I never faced
mm,
before. So I learned from it, and I don't know, like I don't know what she faced that she need my support yet, but so far she been support me very well. You see, so I think this is something that just don't assume that you are the only one faced with this problem,
mm,
because that's assumption may lead you to depression and stress and like, oh my god, like how do I deal with my company with remote work? Reach
Yeah.
out to people who already do remote work. You will have a lot of inside information to
Yes.
support your business, right?
Great. So
Yeah.
that brings over then to the next question is how can leaders then maintain the team cohesion and morale in a
Mm.
remote work environment? So that's a reason why we are saying time and again the team has to come together. Like even in remote way, the team can come together. Like Neo just now was saying, eat lunch together, play
Yeah.
games together, even on a remote setting. We did as
Yes.
well. Okay, so we will order our lunch. We have like a budget for everyone. Let's say 10 USD. All right, so everybody will do the claims later on. Go and order the food that you want to order. By a certain time, it comes. Let's say at 1 o'clock, we will have our Zoom, and then we will have our lunch, and then we talk. So we will
Yeah.
have a topic to talk about, maybe something that's non-work related, but
Yeah.
something that we understand our team members even more. For example, hey, share one of the probably new book that you have read during this COVID situation. So maybe we can share one book, and if for those who don't, let's say, read any book, maybe just one learning that we have seen in YouTube, in anything. Because I mean, me and me, we are in the education field. So being educators, we are definitely learners. So it is
Yes.
very natural. Like I'm always like reading. Okay, so now I'm reading like a Chinese book. You see, I'm always having a book with me,
Yeah.
or if it's not a book, then it's an audio book. My audio book right now is Tuesdays with Maury, things like that. So we always learn something every day, and then we can share the learnings, right? So
Mm.
this we
Yeah.
can benefit one another, or we can tell something about, hey, what is the latest movies that you are watching? Okay, or probably the sometimes at probably my age group, because both of us we have quite young people, so I want to know the young people quite well. So one of the topics that time we did was can you let me know, today's topic is what are the teens and the 20s, the kind of songs and boy band, girl band that you all are listening to. Sometimes
Yeah.
we need to understand them. Yeah, yesterday my son was telling me the boy band that he's listening to. Them like, oh, okay, there's this boy band. So we understand more.
Yeah.
Why he likes this particular group?
Yeah.
Things like that. So we can understand the different generation even better. Okay, so that's
Definitely.
also something that the young people will say that, wow, Pauline, she's like 20 years older than me, but she's willing to know what I'm doing. She's interested in my life. Yeah, so even in remote, we can actually help to build the team together and the morale. So this is where also the morale, just now I mentioned, retreat comes together. And now today, we are having lunch. We are going to have lunch like later on, so they don't run away to say, I'm sorry, I don't want to have lunch, I'm scared. So now the team member is having lunch with another leader. So because why? Because they're bonding over the past 2 days. So now they are comfortable. Yes. So Ni, how can leaders then maintain team cohesion? Maybe you want to share more, or probably you want to share a little bit more about the tools and the technologies that we can use in remote leadership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing people need to know about remote work of how do you going to make the class or the meeting or the training effective and fun is you have to have a plan, right? You have to have a plan in your mind of how am I going to make the meeting not boring. So I never make my meeting boring, right? I always use, because like you say, we do education, so that's helped me a little bit in the way of how I'm going to train my team effectively. Like you can use a video that already
Mm.
successful in the other part, and then you will book that with music, the sound, right? And I use a lot of iPad note where I can draw color when I teach to the team. I lead them to the direction of the company with color thing, or I let them play game, and you will create a lot of game, and you will surprise when you check on you can use Google, you can use Chat GPT, whatever that work for you. I say, hey, I'm going to have a meeting with finance team. Can you suggest some small game to make them having fun and enjoy and understand the workload? And you were surprised they give you a lot of suggestions for game, and you
Mm.
can start using that. Or go to more online classes. I think that's something that I learned as well. That I sign up some
Okay.
Zoom class or online class, and then I learn how do they manage the Zoom situation, how do they train other people, and then I learn for me. I learn what not to do, and I learn what to do. And it's just like you eat different restaurant to come back home and manage correct your taste or flavor to match with your home cooking, right? You can eat the same dish in different restaurant, but you come home, you will make it your own style, right? So that's what
Mm.
I did, and it worked for me. So that's the tip I will share with you guys how I do it,
Mm. So do
because I
you
think
use any form of a tools and technologies? Maybe you want to share with us because you are quite tech savvy, much better
yeah.
than me.
So I
Yeah.
have for example, Apple, right? Right, I have an iPad. Like I just show you, like how do I use a
Yes.
note.
Mm.
So it called Notability Note.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So when you go in, you can
Uh-huh.
see they have a page, right? But you can use a color like this,
Okay.
where's the pen, right? Like you know, and this you can share screen in the Zoom
Mm.
class. So
Yes,
you make
yes.
people feel like, oh, the meeting is not boring. My boss not give me a slide and PowerPoint and full of
Yeah,
word. And then you can
I know.
draw face and love and smile.
Yeah.
You make
Yep,
them
yep.
feel like, oh, this is fun. I feel like I go to school. I don't feel. And then we have like app for playing sticker in it called what is that called again? Miro, like
Oh,
MIR.
MIRO?
Yeah, so the team can play sticker inside,
Yes,
do
yes.
the board
Post-it.
together, create teamwork, right?
Yes.
And I think Zoom is the best. Zoom is the best. People say Microsoft work, but
Teams.
I like Zoom more. Yeah, I like Zoom more because Zoom give more option for us to like create song, share the board. All of us can write
Yes.
together. So I
Yes.
think more about practice because I
Yeah.
think the person who create the virtual world right now, they already think whatever that we're thinking. How do we
Yes.
enjoy it? So we just have to keep practice and continue. Ask team
Mm.
member anything that they discover, and then we add in the checklist, and then we practice together to make a system work. So it's quite very effective for us when we keep
Yeah.
improving the system, how to use what already available. I think more
Yes.
about people know the tools, but they don't practice because they refuse. Oh, I don't want, I want to use my old way, for example.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think really all is the practice. I think my team was practice and I practice as well
Correct.
to match the level, right? Because I
Yeah.
remember starting when we go for meeting, I keep talking in the Zoom because I don't know how to use all this, and I realized that actually it's time for me to learn how to use it at the same time teaching, and the team
Mm.
will love it. The feedback were amazing. I like, every time you share something in the meeting and you use the note and you writing, it will remember more. you know so last time, well, what do we use? Like we use flip chart, right? So now
Yes.
this is my flip chart. So I'm like, oh, okay,
Yes.
so you can actually bring that to this, and it work effectively. So yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one of the tip I use.
Correct. So I
Yeah.
was very amazed also when my team member tell me I can use like the iPad. I'm
Yeah.
also a person, I like to write. Okay, but I use
Yes.
the iPad, I like to draw
Yeah,
more.
that's the one. Yeah, we do a similar thing. Yeah.
Yes. I am very good with like the mind maps. It's like after 2 days seminar, people were very amazed. Straight away, I link up the points, how they can have everything all done in one mind map. Like for example, when I read a book, okay, I want to remember because I read so much. Sometimes I forget, right? So like for example, this is something that I drew on like this book on the read called Atomic Habits. Okay, so everything is in one page, the key ideas. So I link them up so that when there are certain things I want to remember or certain things in, let's say, how to build a habit. Then I say, oh yeah, there's this thing that they talk about, let's say friction, reduce the friction. You need to have an environment so they can build the habits and things like that. So that's where when we were doing all these remote meetings, whether it's meetings or whether it's learnings, I think the philosophy and the principles are the same in that When it comes to meetings, yes, we have an objective to meet. But I think one of the key things that we have to understand is we have to let the team members know every time they come for a meeting, they learn something. They walk away with something. The leaders like us teach them something. That is where their growth will be like, and that's where their satisfaction will be in. Now, you might say that, but they are here to work. I pay them, so they must be, coming. But the key thing is if people want to come really with their heart and their soul and they want to really put in 100% effort in us, it's because we care about them.
Yeah.
We care about their being. It's not a transaction. If as
Yeah.
a leader or as a boss, we think of it as a transaction, that means I pay you $1,000, you are going to give me back $1,000 worth of effort. Then I'm going to tell you this, I will just give you $1,000 worth of effort. All right?
Yes.
Yeah, this is what I will do because it has nothing got to do with the hours. You pay me a
Yeah.
thousand, I will give you back the thousand. The key thing about remote working or any working, whether it's remote or non-remote, is this: when they are getting a paid like $1,000, we make sure that they can deliver 10 times, 100 times, right? Then you might say, wow. Then as a team member, you're like, whoa, you want so much from me. As a leader, say, wow, I can get so much from them. Now the key thing is with $1,000, in addition, we give them the growth.
Yeah.
That growth is where it has the exponential results into the company. So this is the part. It's a multiplication, right?
Yeah.
So when they put in that 1 hour times the growth, that's where the ROI of the company is multiplier effect. That's why, you know what's my company name? My company name is right now, the company name that I put in is called For Multiplier. Okay, so
Wow.
everything, yes, it's for multiplier. So when you come to me, that means I can help you to multiply. And I always see my company for multiplier as a solution provider. So being a solution provider, this is where I help to solve problem now as an entrepreneur, as a leader, or as a team member. As long as we are a solution provider, we can help to solve problems. We do not need to worry whether we got a job or no job, because if the company doesn't require us, that means probably my solutioning is not what the company wants. Then I can go to another company to solve their problem. As long as I am always a solution provider, I can solve problems, the world will need me, right? So this is where the tools technologies will be essential. So of course, like me, I do have all these tools, technologies. I think quite common. We use like Zoom. We use like last time I used to use this thing called Webinar Jam. All right. So it all depends on also what you need it for in terms of, let's say, your sales. I use a lot of Miro as well in terms of drawing my flow chart. I'm really good at drawing all these flow charts, like the front end versus the back end. And everyone has that link and they will add on, and everybody in my team would understand the flow of the company in terms of the funneling and so on. So the Miro is actually a very good tool as well. Of course, now with the AI, there are many other tools that we can use also. Okay, so that brings to the next part. Tools and technologies, these are what we call the hard stuff, right? The hardware, although it is a software, but it's still the hard stuff. But that's another part. That's the softer part, which is the communications part, right? So how can leaders ensure the clear and consistent communications within, when we talk to the remote teams? Because communication is key. So Ni, maybe you want to share later on. I will share the system that I have also in my past company, how I actually and currently. So now I've got two different businesses. In the past, it's on investing. Now it's on wellness and health. So I will share
Yeah.
with you how I manage my team also later on. So maybe
Yeah.
you can start first. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think communication now, for me is, I first I have to share with people that you have to know your group of team member, what age they are, right? Because as a psychologist, I learn and I understand that the age in my team is around below 25 or 25, 26. They're still very
Wow.
young. So basically, they still grow in terms of
Mhm.
hormone, that their brain will not affect a lot of their decision making. So
Mm.
they in the state of changing a lot, right? And I'm very aware that the stability only come after 27, 28, right? Some of them is in their 30 like me, but is most of them is not, right? 90% of my team is below 30.
Mm.
So I book them in the place easier to don't judge, don't blame them, right?
Mm.
Which is that's what people don't like right now because Gen Z, right? But I work with them very well and I work with them a lot. I would say that use sign and information before sign
Mm.
to communication with them because that will help you a lot better than just point finger and all these young people, I don't understand them, why they keep changing and all that. And the thing I learned why they keep changing and why their brain affect them, because nothing wrong with their brain though, I'm just say at the human develop level you have to understand where they are in their life and the state of their growing as a human
Mm.
physically body, right? So they want to try new thing every
Yes.
day. They want to go for challenge. They don't
Mm.
understand the dangerous, yes, not because they daring. They just naive. They in the age of exploring. And let's book it this way. We 10 years ago, I'm the same. You
Yeah.
dumb, you naive, you do things that you cannot control. Now I'm look back, I'm like, okay, that moment is really dumb. But if you ask me why, I don't know, right? It's the same situation. When I think that to myself, I realize that they go through the same phase. They may have their own certainty, they have their own fear, their own problem. So I separate between work and relationship very well when in terms of this, right? I will have a separate session that's called support them emotionally. So basically that session, we won't talk anything about work. I want to
Oh.
ask them about what the problem they face right now and
Mm.
what type of video content that they're watching, right? And show me like what is the information they're searching right now in their life and what mentorship and support they need and what
Mm.
the industry that they really interested beside of working with me, because they may do the job that I do, we
Mm.
do, but at the same time they may have a deep desire inside them. And all this we will use a lot of, basically all this class I call self-awareness, which is we allow them to come in, doesn't care you come from which department. It basically like HR way in many years ago, but this I don't want to use the word HR, right? I want to use the word like self-awareness because I want to build them that form. And at least if in that class they figured out that this is what not they want, then they can go to something else. Then we offer them the tools from online, like the DISC, the color code or whatsoever. We teach them to use all this to understand about themselves a little bit, right? And not stereotype, but at least know yourself and know your team and make a better decision. So that's been helping me. The communication strategy come from we use a lot of
Mm.
tools
Mm.
to build self-awareness in the team, and at the same time that I use science of
Mm.
psychologists to understand their behavior at which age, like what family background, where you come from, are you the first child, second child, third child, are you
Oh.
a, yeah, all that's affect, everything is affect. Like are you a first child, are you have parent, are you don't have parent, okay, are you orphan, okay, orphan, so how do you grow up, right? Then you will
Ah.
understand more about them. uh, because I've been practicing counseling in psychology, so I have a system of training in the university, so I know how to use that in work. And then I can help my people who work with me to understand about themselves more. In like a school, you go to counseling when you feel not well. So we have that department in our company when people need help and support for that. And we can help them, we can guide them. And all this is a part of the business because after COVID, mental health become a thing that people go for a job, they're looking for it. They really looking, did your company take care of it? Did your company care about this?
Yeah.
They do not like for people who think Gen Z were looking for like a bean bag and coffee machine. No, they're not. They actually care more about in your company. Do you guys care about mental health? Do you guys
Yes.
talk about that? Do you guys support us on that?
Yeah.
And I'm the person that very listen to feedback. So when my employee asking for that or my team member asking for that, we create that department and we let the people who run that department is the people who really care about all this stuff as well, right? And they will have, so we have a lot of video that are
Mhm.
in-house, which is we build to match with the culture of the company. So when they need help and support on that, they can watch all this video instructor of studying about themselves, and when they really need to spoke to the person to understand more after they watch the video, they may not deep down understand and they want one-to-one conversation, we also have that support. So that
Yeah,
is my strategy and the effective of how I deal as a leader remotely to deal with the mental health for my team.
yeah. Totally agree on the mental health. Why?
Yeah.
Because I mean, my own dad is a one of the so-called victim when it comes to COVID,
Yeah.
locked in a place, and then in the end, it leads to him having depression, right?
Yeah.
So mental health is really important, especially when they are working alone. And sometimes we find that there's certain talent in somewhere in a remote place. So no choice, they have to be working over there all by themselves, right? So how do we make them inclusive? Right. So this kind of communication is very important. Like just now I mentioned in my team, when I was running an organization where it was small, the directors with employees kind of thing, we have a huddle every day at 10 o'clock. And we have that will be the small team huddle like in the individual uh, geographical location. And once a month, we have a big huddle, which is what we call the town hall, where everybody comes together. It's like a 3 hours, all the different countries, we do an update in terms of the communications. On top of that, the HR will also go over to communicate with each and everyone with the system, meeting the leaders as well. So this is another round, and we will have lunch together. Like for example, once a month, there will be new team members coming into the organization over different countries. So they will come over to meet all the leaders, and we will have kind of like the Zoom lunch together, right? So those in the office organization, every team they will have their local GM over there. So the local GM will have the physical lunch also with the new team members as well. So this is how we at least have the new team members to also come into this remote working area. So in terms of communication, I would say there's never over communicate. Okay, it's okay to over communicate, just don't under communicate, right? And also when it comes to communication, practice certain I would say private time as well, right? Don't over communicate to such a way that even at 2 a.m., 5 a.m., then it becomes like 24 by 7. The team members will get burnt out. I know sometimes some of us like to work later. Like for me, I'm an early bird. So they probably would receive my message like as early as 5 plus, 6 plus a.m. when they have not even woken up like me just now was mentioned. He actually sleeps at like 4, 5 a.m. The key thing is probably when if I were to text her, like this morning I woke up like 5 a.m. If I were to text her, actually she's like awake. Oh, you're awake, you have woken up. No, I've not even slept yet. That kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
some of our team members actually work better at night. Actually, I respect that. I don't think
Yeah.
everybody needs to wake up early in the morning, okay, to
Yeah.
work.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think
Or
so.
yeah, nine
Yeah,
to six.
only when only stress situation, then I work overnight. But normally I'm an early night person like you. But
Yeah.
leadership life is never about you have every night perfect, right? You
Correct.
try your best to have every night perfect sleep score because you know how important was that for mental health. But
Yes.
when your business come to the crisis, or what do we call it, emergency break,
Emergency times. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, your brain, even you want to sleep on time and you solve it tomorrow, I don't think so, right? And I think that's what leadership about, that people don't
Correct.
realize that your team may deal with that,
Yeah,
right?
I
So
have a late night the night before as well when I was in the retreat. I was with my team members after the thing, like the lesson finished at about 10, 11 o'clock. We had a post meeting. We do
yeah,
have more of a discussion, and it ended up at about 2 a.m. And I love the time because, during midnight, 2 a.m. is the time where we have a heart of heart talk. And that's important, right, in terms of the issues that they face. And I woke up at about 5 plus 6, 3 hours of sleep because I need to lead a morning exercise at about 7 a.m. So I have to be the one to wake up earlier first to prepare everything, right? So that's where I have little sleep. But other than that, I'm normally like an early person. Then when I send out those emails or WhatsApp, it's because at the point of time I remember. Sometimes what I do is I type in, but I don't send it out first until maybe at about 7, 8 a.m. Then I send it out. It's just really to let them have a good rest so that it is really for the long term. Don't burn out the team members unless it's really a firefighting situation. But for a good running organized organization, it should not be always what I term as at a Q1 mode, right? If you
Yeah.
read the book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, there are 4 quadrants. Don't always put ourselves in what we call important and urgent mode. It's best to always put ourselves into important but not urgent mode so that
Yeah.
we have that longevity when it comes to really having things in place for the organization, right? So
Yeah.
have a system. That's why I mentioned have a system for communication in terms of let's say 7 a.m 10 a.m regardless, just have a system. Then after that, small team, big teams, geographically located. So have all this system in place, communicate it out to the teams and ad hoc basis. All right, it's
Yeah.
always good to have ad hoc basis. It's always good to have leaders meeting the new members, leaders meeting the some of the team members as and when, or having a schedule. Sometimes scheduling it is good because time passed so fast that after that 3 months we start to realize that, oh, I've not even met some person. So it's good to also schedule that in, right, in terms of communication. So probably let's go up to one last question for today would be this is the part we have talked a little bit about in terms of like the challenges and in terms of how to actually manage it. Probably one of the key thing that we need to look at is as leader to the team members, I think that one not an issue. But how about team members to team members? I think that
Mm.
could be more of an issue, especially if we were to run. Uh, for me, in the past, my organization like Singapore office with Malaysia office. Then how about like Thai office with Malaysia office? Different culture and different people coming together. So this is the part that I think we probably want to talk about is how do we foster this kind of a good team working relationship when we are working remotely in different countries. So Ning, not sure whether you have this experience because I know most of your team members are in Vietnam. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
whether you're probably more managing like the Vietnam versus Singapore team. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I have that a lot. And
Mm.
so if you ask me what have I learned in this remote world that I have to deal with team member to team member have a problem is we have to let them fail, and we had to let them fight, and we had to let them adjust in this remote world as well. And I go one event, and this one of the speakers share this sentence when somebody asks like, what do you think about AI? AI going to take over the world. How about us as a human being? And I take that sentence from him book to heart. He
Mm.
like, let's go back to learn from his story, and he shared a very positive vibe. He say, we have a disaster come, and yes, we lost a lot of human, but somehow human learn that better to deal with disaster. We
Mm.
have what is that called, like economic crisis, and yes, we have a lot of people lose their job in the bus.com, but at the same time we learn better about how to manage the finance and how to deal with internet, right? And
Mm.
he repeat, every crisis come in the world, we all have to face some losses, but at the same time human get better at it, and that's how our children learn.
Yeah.
They hit the wall, they will say, oh, that's a wall, next time I don't bump into it. And
Yeah.
or you let them walk and they fall down, and they, oops, I fall down, I stand up again. And I think we forgot about that, like let people fail and
Mm.
let them fail and let them learn, and maybe we as a human together collaboration to learn something from that. And I book that to heart when I lead the team, especially young team. And if you ask me, did I know they fight? Did I know that they have quarrel in the Zoom? Did I know that misunderstanding and this new style of working, and elderly generation with a young generation in the Zoom fight, and like, you young, you need to listen to me. You old, you need to shut up because you don't know all this system, right? Are they do that? Yes. I mean, you work in company, I work in company. We cannot deny it's happened.
Mm.
And every time that's happened, of course, one person will say, I want to tell you, this person like this. And then they will be like, I tell you, this person like this. And I have to sit down with individual privately and I have to sit down with two person at the same time. But it looked like I resolve, but actually I'm not. I'm just throw back a bunch of questions to make their brain to think for another person, to exchange the idea of we in this together. How about don't point the finger to each other that they are the problem, but let's point at the problem that we face right now is a remote world, and how can we make it work? This is the camera together that we have to deal with. Zoom, how do we use it? Beside of you are the problem. And I let them fight, and something that it cannot resolve, you have to let them make a decision, and they cannot make a decision, then yes, final decision will come from you. But I would say that for me, the bigger lesson I learned for the last few years of doing this is remind myself when to pause, when to stop talking, when to step back, and let people fail.
Mm.
And in the process of them fail, I may learn something as well to add in the system. In the
Mm.
process of let the team fail, I let them learn something new as well. That the next team member enter and they work together, how was that can improve for themselves as well. And
Yeah.
the nearer conversation I had with one team member when she deal in the extra team and she worked from day one, and she told me like about, the first few months she was very emotional. I said, "Wow, are these people like that?" And now, when every year she do the same thing, people go to Zoom to do job interview with her and repeat story and repeat problem, and she realized that, what? I realized that everybody have a similar problem. Some people coming the first thing they're like, "Oh, I'm not good with Zoom. Your company work from home. I'm not." And then
Yeah.
she realized that she used to be upset about that, but
Mm.
because she worked for so many years and the system be improved, right? Everybody coming and complain the same thing. She make her system somehow better. She guide them the link, click in the link, and she side by side to them. Or okay, this is how you learn about company culture. Click the next link. So she learned how to be more patient. She also learned how to guide people to use the technology,
Yes.
right? But if without all this frustrated, without this all the upset that she had to be deal with from people used to work paper face to face to the machine, and of course she have to work with tech team to build all this. Right? She bring the problem to the tech team, and the tech team say, okay, this is how we can solve it. It somehow make her life easier, and she like, I realize that I'm getting more patient, to people. And yeah, let them fail, let people fail, and we fail together and we grow together.
Yeah, thanks. So for me, in terms of the inter-team communication and working together in a remote area, how to manage that, especially if I'm not sure if you are looking at growing your company. If it's going to be maybe in one country where it's homogeneous culture, not so, it's probably easier to manage the team. This is one area. The other area will be cross-cultural team. Of course, we do have multi-generation inside a team as well. So how to manage that? For me, it just down to the very simple principle, which is the values of the company. The culture that you want to build in a company culture. I learned this in this current job, in this current team that I'm with. I leverage on a system that was built by the founders, and they come up with something that I think that's really good, that solve all the problem, which is the culture of gratitude. Yeah, so if everyone has that gratitude heart in each and every one of us, there's always this saying, 10% is what happened, 90% is how we react to it. So if we actually come with everybody, work with everybody with a heart of a gratitude, right? I think we can see things very differently, and that seeing things is to make sure that we are here to make sure that things are working, that we can find a resolution for everything that we want to do. It's not about you, it's not about me, it's not about our ego, it's not about our pride, but it's all for a bigger purpose that we are here for. That's why we are in this organization. And once the mission, the values, the vision is very clear in the organization, that is practiced by the leader, that cascade down all the way to each and every team members with a compassion with gratitude, I believe the team members definitely will be able to work well with one another. Doesn't mean they will not so-called like argue. Argument is good, okay, to have differences, but it's not in the perspective of wanting to hurt one another or fight with one another or like stab one another. No, it's for the purpose to make things better. That's why the argument is here for. Okay, so with this, I think it is good that we can end this off to say that wow, leadership in remote work is not easy, but it can be very simple. Okay, so everything, like I say, is simple but not easy. Right? Hope you have enjoyed today's session. And if you like what we have discussed today, always remember to like and subscribe to our channel. All right. Okay, so let's see what
Bye.
the following week. Bye.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe both Pauline channel and my channel, and also this channel. If you love
All
what you're
right.
watching, please share it, and we will see you in the next episode.
Yes. Bye.